We are kicking off today with Cody Rhodes, who has had his hands full with the bloodline as of late, but could soon find himself in the ring with a familiar opponent. Over the past couple of months, Randy Orton has hinted at going for the WWE Undisputed title, and every time he looks at Cody, it seems he'll betray his friend. The Viper hasn't held gold since his 14th world title reign was ended by Drew McIntyre in 2020, so it's understandable as to why he's hungry to be a world champion again. Also, Orton works far better as a heel than a babyface, and it appears him going back to the dark side is a matter of time, an act that'd see him betray WWE's top babyface and friend. Turning on Cody would instantly make fans hate Orton, and it's entirely possible this betrayal would come after the main event of SummerSlam should Cody retain against Solo Sikoa. Perhaps Orton helps fend off the others in the bloodline, allowing for Rhodes to get a fair fight against Solo, only to stab the American Nightmare in the back in the climax of the show. If not at SummerSlam, then perhaps the betrayal will come at SmackDown, where Rhodes will be celebrating and addressing his victory over the new bloodline leader. With Roman Reigns expected to return at SummerSlam, Solo would be occupied with the head of the table, leaving Rhodes without a dance partner, and Orton could fill that gap. But what do you make of this? Is SummerSlam the right time for Orton to officially turn on Cody and go after the undisputed WWE title? Let us know down in the comments. Right now, few angles in WWE have been hotter than the issues between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, and the Scottish Warrior has taken things to a whole new level on social media. In a tweet, McIntyre shared a photo with AEW TNT champion Jack Perry and made clear in the caption that, "It's a real photo, cry us a river." Fans will remember that it was a backstage altercation between Punk and Perry that ultimately resulted in Punk being fired, and their fight took place backstage at AEW All In. The issues between them kicked off when Perry made reference to using real glass in a match with Hook and said anyone with an issue should cry me a river in a dig at Punk himself. Punk had previously held a meeting with talent from AEW Collision, saying he didn't want real glass used on his show, as he felt the risks were not worth the reward. This tweet has since been deleted by Drew, with some speculating that he was ordered to take it down, but WRKD Wrestling reports that there's no heat on the Scottish Warrior for this. References to AEW and backstage issues in the company were greenlit by Punk going into the feud, as he recognizes that such talking points can make for great television. McIntyre and Punk will finally wrestle at SummerSlam in a match that'll be officiated by Seth Rollins, yet another person who's had issues with the best in the world and the Scottish superstar. This match already has a ton of build, even before Drew's now deleted tweet, but what do you make of this photo of McIntyre and the Scapegoat? Let us know down in the comments. It was at Money in the Bank 2023 that John Cena made a surprise return and told fans he wants to bring WrestleMania to London, exciting the crowd inside the city's O2 Arena. Since then, Cody Rhodes has also advocated for the idea, and Triple H has said that everything is on the table, and now a massive step has been taken to make this a reality. This week, London Mayor Sadiq Khan met with Triple H as well as WWE President Nick Khan in the UK capital to discuss the possibility of the first WrestleMania outside North America. Mayor Khan said that he was pleased to meet the two higher-ups to discuss the event and spoke of London's strong track record of hosting sports events such as the Olympics in 2012. Nick Khan added that WWE share Mayor Khan's ambition to bring a major WWE event to London, while Triple H described discussions about a future partnership as excellent. While no venue has been confirmed yet, many predict that a UK WrestleMania would take place in Wembley, and if so, that could see WWE take All In's record as the largest UK wrestling event. But what do you make of this? Are you a fan in the UK eager to see WrestleMania come to London? If so, share your thoughts in the comments. One name who was synonymous with WrestleMania for years was Brock Lesnar, but he was pulled from all plans earlier this year due to being tied to the Janelle Grant lawsuit. Lesnar was supposed to be in this year's Royal Rumble match, face Dominic Mysterio in Perth and Gunther at WrestleMania, but none of that happened, raising questions about his future. When the Mail Sport asked Triple H about Lesnar's absence and his future, the game remained coy, saying those sorts of questions are best sent in Brock's direction. The game did say that if and when Brock wants to do something with WWE again, WWE would be open to the conversation, implying that Lesnar's absence has been his own choice. Throughout his entire absence, Brock Lesnar has remained on the current roster page on WWE's official website, despite not competing since SummerSlam 2023 in a loss to Cody Rhodes. At this time, there's no word on when, if ever, Lesnar will compete in WWE again, but despite the lawsuit, higher-ups don't seem wholly opposed to working with him again. Over to AEW, as this week's Blood and Guts match saw plenty of violence as expected, and also saw Jack Perry take an unprotected chair shot to the head in a shocking scene. While AEW does try to push the envelope more than WWE, chair shots to the head are still exceptionally rare due to what we know about the long-term damage they can do. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Bryan Alvarez explained that the chair was gimmicked and had been shaved down in order to lessen the impact. With that said, Alvarez noted that they still waffled Perry with the chair, and there's only so much AEW could have done to make it less painful. The chair shot has again sparked a debate as to the use of blows to the head, and WWE commentator Corey Graves was not a fan of the spot in question. On Twitter, Graves, whose career ended due to shots like these, made clear that he did not want to be judgmental and did not want to incite any us versus them debate between WWE and AEW. With all that said, Graves argued that the art of wrestling is protecting the business and one another, and said the gaps in memory due to chair shots like these are not worth it. Graves didn't want to spark a tribal debate, but he later deleted his tweet. And do you think the spot in question went too far? Or is all fair when it comes to competing in Blood and Guts? At Against All Odds, Jeff Hardy made his return to TNA, which came shortly after his exit from AEW following a 2-year run that hardly went as planned. In June 2022, not long after debuting in AEW, Jeff was arrested and charged with DUI in another setback from him, and his driver's license was suspended for 10 years. While the case against Jeff was later quashed, this incident led to many fans turning on Jeff, who it turns out was ready to leave AEW long before his contract expired. On Busted Open Radio, Jeff shared that he was ready to ask for his release back in January before he faced Darby Allin. He explained, "That happened actually in the second time I wrestled Darby Allin. I went to work that day and I was ready to just ask for my release and go back on the indies and really start loving the craft again, but I was trying to be somewhat of a heel on social media, and so I said something that wasn't professional at all, but I got a match out of that and a few more good matches. I didn't win any of them, but I was out there on TV and I was finding that love for the craft again. But after I wrestled Darby that night, again, it refilled my soul then. As a 46-year-old human being, I was like, oh my god, this is fun, and this is why I love it. But I was in a real low place, and I was ready to go back to the indies and just try to find the love for the craft again because I'd kinda lost it." Jeff added that he regrets how his AEW run ended, and as he rebuilds his career in TNA, fans are eager to see what's next, though many still believe he should have done more in AEW. What do you think of what Jeff Hardy had to say about wanting to ask for his AEW release earlier this year? Let us know in the comments section below. In November of last year, hell froze over and CM Punk returned to WWE, a moment that no one would have expected just a few years ago. Since then, Punk has been a leading figure on WWE TV, even though he hasn't wrestled since January, and Vince McMahon had a unique part to play in Punk's return. At San Diego Comic-Con, Punk told Denise Salcedo that it was thanks to McMahon parting ways with WWE that he felt a return could happen. He explained, "It was never a thing that I was yearning to do. There were a lot of things that had to happen for the pathway to kind of clear. The stars had to align. There had to be a full moon. A lot of dominoes fell in order for us to get here. There was never a, man, I'd really like to go back. Vince being out of the picture probably illuminated the way. That might have been one of the biggest things. That's both ways for everybody who is going to sensationalize a headline. It wasn't me, it wasn't him, there's just a lot of history there. All of a sudden, one of us is removed from the equation, and I think it changed a lot of things." For clarity, when Punk returned to WWE, McMahon had already retired once, but had since returned to the company, but he'd stepped down from WWE, seemingly for good, in January of 2024. Now Punk is back and McMahon is gone, and in recent days there's been speculation and rumors about Punk reportedly renegotiating his WWE contract. On his Instagram story, Punk shared a quote from Ice-T, seemingly slamming any speculation of his contract status, and now a new report has come out about his current deal. WrestleVotes reports that a source in WWE shared that WWE is very happy with Punk's attitude and commitment since returning, and his drawing power on TV and social media is excellent. Punk is also proving to be a huge moneymaker in terms of merchandise, despite being injured for most of his return, and WWE will keep him around for a long time to come. PW Insider adds that Punk is under contract until November 2026, though this date excludes any extensions to his deal that could be tacked on due to injuries. Despite this existing agreement, WWE and Punk are in talks for a new contract, but it was WWE, not Punk, who initiated these talks in the aim to secure a more substantial deal. The motivation behind this move, despite an already established contract, stems from the evolving landscape of the business involving huge numbers, merchandise, and socials. As to what kind of new deal WWE can secure with Punk, that remains to be seen, but the promotion is clearly eager to keep him around for a long time to come. But what do you think of what CM Punk had to say? Do you feel his current run in WWE has been going well so far? Let us know in the comments section below. As for Punk's more immediate future, he will make his in-ring return at SummerSlam, where he'll face Drew McIntyre, and the ex-AEW World Champion has been hard at work. In footage shared online, Punk can be seen training at the Harley Race Foundation of Wrestling and seemed to be in great condition despite the triceps injury. The real test for Punk will come at SummerSlam, and hopefully the best in the world can remain injury-free from here on after this recent setback. On this week's AEW Dynamite, Kamille finally made her debut after being signed to the company since February and made an impact at the expense of Britt Baker. Kamille attacked Baker and seemingly aligned with Mercedes Moné, and in a recent filing, Kamille filed for the term the Brickhouse Kamille for entertainment services. It seems that is the name Kamille will use going forward, and her arrival in AEW comes after she previously had talks with Shawn Michaels about joining NXT. Did Kamille make the right decision by signing with AEW instead of WWE? Do you like how she debuted by taking out Britt Baker? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Now, it's no secret that this year is a TV deal year for AEW, and many are taking what kind of deal the company gets as a sign of how well the company has been operating. Many believe AEW will soon secure a new media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery if they haven't already, as plenty has also been said in the media about a new deal. While speaking during the ROH Death Before Dishonor media call, Tony Khan was asked by Brandon Thurston about reports of a new deal, and Khan had some choice words for WWE. Khan claimed that WWE's PR team has been putting false reports out about AEW and its media deal, as he claimed, "I don't usually do this, but since Brandon brought it up and asked, I had a major member of the wrestling media mention to me yesterday, WWE is telling people that, and I don't know why WWE is telling people about our media rights deal. I don't know whether it's any of their business. I don't really understand why WWE PR calls people and talks about my business. WWE PR is telling people that the deal is done and that the deal is done at the same level that it was going to be our previous deal. That's not the case. I don't know why WWE PR and why major wrestling media members who are very credible and never lied to me. I don't know why they are telling people that. It's none of their business. I think WWE PR really gets involved in a lot of things they shouldn't get involved in. I can tell you that it is very untrue. When we make a deal for AEW, it's going to be a great deal with a big increase over what we've been doing. We're in a really good position and have been doing great business here despite what they're trying to do to us. Thanks." Khan also confirmed that ROH is currently involved in AEW's media rights talks with Warner Bros. Discovery, as his second promotion has yet to score a network deal. Do you think AEW's new deal will be better than what they have? And what do you make of Khan's accusation against WWE? Sound off in the comments. At Slammiversary, Nick Nemeth won the TNA World Championship, and while he was one of the most popular stars in the match, he wasn't exactly everyone's pick to win. Many fans felt that Joe Hendry was the right man to win the six-man elimination match for the title, but Hendry was taken out of the match by a heel-turned Josh Alexander. During Busted Open Radio, Nemeth addressed the backlash by some to his win, saying that it could have been Hendry's night, especially given how popular he's become. Nemeth even said that a title win for Joe could have been more of a shock, but said that just as it could have been Hendry's time, he now has time to grow even bigger and prepare to be on top. The Wanted Man said how some fans have complained that Joe Hendry got buried, and questioned that notion, as Hendry is one of TNA's most popular stars and headlined the show. Nemeth's reasoning is that losing a match does not mean someone is being buried, and added that Hendry not winning the title means he can continue his NXT work rather than be solely TNA. Could Joe Hendry's time as TNA World Champion still come? Absolutely, but for now, it's Nemeth who will represent the promotion at the top of the mountain. In May 2022, Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE over a disagreement over the creative plans for them, as the women's tag team champions were set to enter singles feuds. These feuds would have been for the Raw and SmackDown women's titles, and the belief was that these programs only made the tag team titles the pair held seem irrelevant. Naomi has since returned to WWE as she made her comeback at the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble, and on WWE Deutschland, Naomi addressed her exit and her return. That felt like a relief, you know what I mean? Just all the negativity surrounding the walkout and everything that Mercedes and I experienced. It just felt like a big weight off my shoulders to be back home, to be accepted back home, and just to have the opportunity to continue where I started and finish the story, my journey. Just to have the opportunity in my career where I started and finished things the right way, and to reconnect with my WWE fans. Just to push through that entire time in my career, it felt really good and special to be back. People made me feel that. Even backstage, you know? I was a little nervous, but it was like I had never been away. During her time away, Naomi, as Trinity, made an impact in TNA where she held the Knockouts title, but her goal now has been to win gold as a WWE superstar once again. After all that happened, it's great to see that Naomi and WWE could reach closure on the previous issues, as the glow is shining once more for the sports entertainment juggernaut. Last week, Tony Schiavone received an award from the George Tragos Luthez Wrestling Hall of Fame for his decades of work as a broadcaster. Schiavone joins Gordon Soley, Jim Ross, and Conrad Thompson as a recipient, and proved his skills on the mic during the taping of tonight's AEW Rampage. During the taping, which actually happened after Dynamite, Schiavone spoke about the honor, but one fan heckled him from the crowd and said that they didn't care. Quick as a flash, Schiavone fired back, telling the fan to suck it and that he's serious about pro wrestling, which got a big response from the more respectful members of the audience. Schiavone is a veteran in the world of wrestling, so any disrespect towards him will always be met with a poor response, as he's proved his mic skills are still sharp at Rampage. It was in 2021 that Bryan Danielson arrived in AEW, and right now, the American Dragon is on the cusp of the biggest match of his run, which will come at All In. On August 25th, Danielson will challenge Swerve Strickland for the AEW World title inside Wembley, but Danielson may not be with AEW by the time that match happens. After this week's Dynamite went off the air, Danielson shared in an interview that his contract with AEW will expire on August 1st, which so happens to be his son's 4th birthday. Danielson added that when he signed his current AEW deal, he and his wife Bree spoke about it being his last wrestling deal, and he's wondering what life will be like after wrestling. Right now, though, Danielson's focus is on All In and the World Championship match, and he doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks ahead of this massive match. In the interview, Bryan said Doc Sampson doesn't want him wrestling until All In, but that's proving difficult for someone who absolutely loves getting in the ring. Danielson admitted that his neck isn't great and that many plans he has in the ring are met with neck chat by his wife and others, so we'll have to wait and see what match we get in Wembley. It's hard to imagine Danielson holding back in his match given what's on the line, and expect the American Dragon to fight with all he has against Swerve Strickland in Wembley. When it was confirmed that Ricochet would be leaving WWE, talk immediately started that he'd join AEW, and it's since been reported that he is expected to become All Elite. On July 1st, Ricochet became a free agent, and when speaking on the Battleground podcast, Swerve Strickland was asked about a potential showdown with the one and only. Swerve spoke about facing Ricochet before in MLW, but said that competition's stiff in AEW, and Ricochet getting a match with the champ may prove easier said than done. If Ricochet does indeed join AEW, Strickland said he'll need to get a different type of working boots on, and spoke about how he'll have to adapt to a whole new level of action. Should Ricochet join AEW, or do you think there's a better option for him now that his WWE career has ended? Let us know down below. More from AEW Dynamite now, as PW Insider reports that David Arquette was backstage at this week's show in Nashville. The former WCW World Champion is a known wrestling fan, so much so that he was against the idea of winning WCW's richest prize, knowing that it'd be a slap in the face to fans. Arquette has since worked on the indies and is clearly a fan of AEW, and we imagine he had a blast watching Blood and Guts this week. And we're ending with Asuka, who has been out for months with a knee injury, but the Empress was part of yesterday's WWE show in Osaka, Japan, and kicked off the event. Notably, Asuka appeared without crutches in her hometown, and it may not be long before we see the former women's champion back in the ring.